This is Will with LearnChess101.com, and today I'm going to humble myself a little bit and show you guys a game that I actually lost in 13 moves, just from, I think, just a little bit of overconfidence and just not really completely paying attention to the board. I was getting a little distracted while I was playing and just sort of on autopilot, and this can happen a lot when you're playing a lot. So the good lessons here is how to prevent this from happening, and you also can learn from what my opponent did, a couple moves to use yourself. So let's get started here. So start the game, we bring out our pawns, and opponent brings out their knight, and I bring out my pawn to protect my own, and my opponent brings out their bishop. Now it's good to note here, this is a move you'll see a lot. If you've been playing, you might already do this yourself. And what happens is you'll see that what they're trying to do here is they want to, the next move, they would move their knight to g5. And as long as there's no one to capture any piece right here on f7, that's what they're going for, they're going to move their knight onto f7. And when they do that, they not only capture the pawn, but the only piece that can capture the knight there is my king, but it's protected by the bishop. And now the knight's in position to capture both the rook and the queen. And what happens is you move your queen, obviously, it's the higher ranking piece, and your opponent now captures not only your pawn, but your rook. So watch out for this. A lot of the games I show, you'll see my opponent do this a lot. And it can really give you a big blow at the beginning of the game to lose a rook like that. And you can't even capture their knight in return. So the way to counter it's really simple. As you see, just move your pawn up right here, and then they can't move their knight into position because it'll be captured by the pawn. So at that point, they move out their own knight, and I bring out my knight. They castle, and I bring out my knight. Bringing up some pawns, and we're on move 6 here, so we're almost halfway through the game. I bring out my bishop to protect my knight right here. And now we have a little bit of exchange. I take a pawn, they take my pawn, I take their knight, and they take my knight. So we're on move 9 now. We're almost close to the end of the game here. And I bring out another pawn, just a little more security to keep this knight from getting in there too. And they're bringing out their bishops. And I'm bringing out mine. I'm getting ready to castle. And then they move their pawn up. And what I do is I counter by moving up my pawn to put the queen in a position to be captured. And I do this because sometimes my opponent or your opponent might make a mistake and just put themselves in position to be captured. Of course, as we'll see in this scenario, it didn't work out that way, and ended up with me losing the game because I just kind of lost sight of my own king. So you'll see they move their queen there, and the game's about to end. This is move 12. And as you'll see here, you might already see it. So I haven't castled yet, and I'm so caught up in capturing their queens. The game before I played this, I just captured my opponent's queen in like 5 moves. So I was running off a very big confidence high. I was getting a little cocky, and I just lost sight of the game. And you'll see right here is both the queen and their bishop are at a point of attack, and there's just nothing to protect my king. And then boom, checkmate. And you'll see here, obviously my king has nowhere to go. There's no pieces to capture the queen, and the queen's protected. So that's checkmate, 13 moves, easily preventable. So just to go back and show what I should have done, let's go here. So all I had to do here was just capture this pawn right here with my pawn. That's it. As I said, just a really poor move on my part. Definitely a rookie mistake, something I have not done in a very long time. That's why I think I'm happy I did it, because at least now I can get the chance to share this with everybody watching, so you at least get a chance to see what not to do. Just make sure your king's protected. This is also why it's good to castle as soon as you can. If I castled already, this wouldn't have happened. And it's really rule number 1, just make sure your pieces are protected. So that's the video. Hope you guys learned something from this. And thank you for watching. Again, this is LearnChess101.com.